In a city that never sleeps, dreams are built from nothing and turned into empires. Welcome to the Empire State of Mind podcast, where entrepreneurs rise. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Empire State of Mind. I'm your host, Diana Burgos, and with me today is the beautiful, talented Jamila Souffrant. Welcome, Jamila. Thank you very
Hi.
much for having me here over
Hi. Hi, Diana. Thanks for having me.
I'm like, thanks for having me. Where do I begin? This is a pinch me moment. So, Jamila is a personal finance educator. She is the host of Journey to Launch podcast. She is the author to the Your Journey to Financial Freedom. And we're going to dive into all things personal, work related, all the good things, and all the things that she has done. She personally impacted me. And so, I'm so honored to have you. So thank you once again. So how I met Jamila, I actually was at work and there was a supervisor who was listening to podcasts all the time on break. And I was like, what are you listening to? And she's like, do you listen to podcasts? And I'm like, not really. I mean, I've heard of podcasts, but I just never listened to it. So then she's like, yeah, I'm listening to this podcast called Journey to Launch with Jamila Souffrant. She's like, I am on my path to becoming an entrepreneur and I want to become like my own chef and own my own restaurant one day. And her podcast really brings a lot of insight. She interviews other entrepreneurs. And I'm like, really? I was like, I want to quit my job too. I don't want to be here. So she let me know about your podcast and I tuned in. And the first time I heard it, I was like, she really did what? Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. So it was just so many like gems. And I want to talk about your story. So the first podcast episode that I listened to was how you saved 85,000 in 12 months. And so I was blown away by that. I was like, how did you do it? So can you tell us a little bit about like what made you do that and how were you able to do it?
Yeah. So I would say that, like many people who are working and find themselves unhappy, I was searching for a way out. And I discovered by Googling catchphrases like how to quit my job, or how to retire, or how to retire early, just putting words together. And I discovered the financial independence retire early movement, the FIRE movement. And then that led
Mm-hmm.
me to podcasts and blogs where people were talking about aggressively saving and investing so that they could exit the workforce early, quit their jobs, and do whatever they wanted. And I didn't know that that was an option. I thought, you worked until you couldn't work anymore, or until the standard retirement age. And so once I found out that was a way that other people were doing things, I said, well, how can I apply that to my life? And so over time, I started to apply the principles I was learning, saving aggressively, investing in retirement accounts s- instead of spending, right? Mostly. I applied that to our finances. I was married at the time. I think when I first started Journey to Launch, I was pregnant, and like I actually had my first child like while I was thinking about like these goals I had, and came home to my husband, said, "Hey, what if we try this thing?" And he's a teacher. He's like really traditional, and just working is just what he does and what his family does. And so I don't think he really understood it at first. But then I started to show, made these spreadsheets, and I had like all these resources that I shared with him, and said, well, if we just, instead of just spending and not thinking about what we're spending, and instead of just investing the bare minimum into our retirement accounts, because we both at that time had jobs with retirement accounts, what if we maximize like and max out our retirement accounts, and we saved first, and we did this for the next X amount of years. And this is where we could be in 7 years, 10 years, 15 years. We'll have this much more money versus not. And he was like, okay. And so that's what we did. So the saving of the 85,000, and eventually it became $169,000 in 2 years across our retirement portfolios and investment accounts and savings accounts. It was really creating a budget, prioritizing saving and investing first. So after we paid for our mandatory bills, everything else of excess went into those accounts. And then we spent if there was anything left over things on that. And so that's primarily how we did it. I would like to always say though, we two income household. We both were
Right.
earning six figures at the time, living in New York City, and those are assets or privileges that we had to be able to save that much. So I know some people that's maybe even more than some people make in a year, saving $80,000 a year. So, but it's a
Right.
function of a percentage of our income. I mean, and if we were making less than that, we would have saved, maybe obviously not as much, but we would have figured out a way to maximize saving and investing over the spending of the necessities.
So did you have any credit card debts? And at that time, were you in a good financial position? Because
Yeah.
most people aren't.
Yeah, so I was and feel like everyone's on the financial journey whether they like it or not, whether they want to admit it or not. It's like it coincides with the life journey. And so I was lucky. I mean, we did work to get here, but we were not in a bad place financially when I found out about the fire movement.
Okay.
Meaning he had a lease and I had a luxury car, and then, well, that was the majority of our debt. My student loans, we had credit cards, but I was always,
Mhm.
even without knowing about financial independence, I always paid off my credit cards every month. And so finding out
Mhm.
about this, which I call in my book, kind of like if you find out about it and you already made some good decisions before finding out about it, you can
Right.
catapult yourself faster through things. But it doesn't mean if you made some choices that were detrimental or hurtful that you can't get ahead. It's just for us, our starting point, we had a very good starting point. And that helped
Mm.
us then really, I wouldn't say skip steps, but go through some of the stages that we'll talk about faster than maybe someone else who's not starting at such a starting point.
Yeah, because I feel like when I listen to your podcast and just hearing all the guests that you interviewed, some of my favorite that you've interviewed were James Clear from Atomic Habits, Janice Torres Rodriguez from Yo Quiero Dinero, and watching her evolution as well. Getting married, having a baby, and just doing a lot of great things. That was one of my favorite episodes as well. I was just fascinated, like how it is possible. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from your podcast and reading your book and meeting you in person at your book launching party. That was like so amazing. Is that thinking outside the box and thinking that it is possible for someone like me, right? In my family. Like I was the first one in my family to go to grad school or even college for that matter, right? And so I'm always trying to push the envelope just a little bit further. I'm like, you know what? They could do it. I could do it, even though your environment around you doesn't look that way. So, what made you, I mean, besides, retiring early and work being optional, like, was there another driving force behind it? I mean, you were expecting a baby and there were a lot of
Yeah.
things happening. So, like, what made you really stick to it? Like, we're going to do this.
Right. So I think too, I mean, now I have three kids. So through it all, I had at different stages, and each kid pushed me to kind of want more and do more. I would
Right.
say this, I think, and I know you're a parent too. So as a parent myself of young kids, and I try to think about myself and like what motivated me even before. I think it starts way before like financial independence, personal finance, or even entrepreneurship. Like I think the same traits that allowed me to be successful here, whether it was with my money or my business, those traits like I did that as a child and even as a young adult teenager. Like I didn't do it to this extent. It wasn't the same genre of things, but and I try to think what led me, like what was how did I know to do that? And I think part of it is personality.
Hmm.
I think a lot of it is nurture. So as parents, like I know my mom is a single mom. She didn't have a lot of resources, but she poured so much into me in terms of confidence and reasoning and discernment. And I was a confident child. It doesn't mean I'm not insecure. And I think that's the thing. Like I'm still insecure in terms of I don't know. You heard one of my latest episodes. I'm like I still don't know what I'm doing. Like what is going on? And I'm not totally perfect with my money. So all those things though, I'm confident overall though. There's this self, I guess,
Mm.
reliance that I have that has allowed me, if I do put my mind to something, I will do. So I would say that that didn't come out of nowhere. And it doesn't mean then if someone is watching or listening that if you haven't had success in personal finance, like I want you to think about the things you are good at and have been successful in And that
Right.
can be applied in different areas of your life. So for me, it was, I've always just wanted to be the master of my own destiny. I did not like having someone tell me what to do. I wanted to make my own choices. And I just couldn't stand someone telling me no. And with
See,
that, I was like, I'm going to do it my way, or do it a way to have more freedom so I can have more options. I've always been that way now that I think about it, even as a child.
wow. Yeah. And so like as a kid, were you a little rebel or were you just like goody two shoes? Like how were you as a kid growing
Yeah,
up?
I would say I was bold. I had my own, point of view. My mom, so we're Jamaican as a family, and so I know my mom used to get flack from the older women in her family, because I would just kind of say what I wanted to say. I didn't like sitting down still or listening and following the rules in that way. But I don't think I was disruptive. But I know the older women were like, Jamila is such
No.
like you need to. She's just too much, and my mom was just like she let me. And I think that's the big thing. She like understood me and let me be. But I
Mm.
wasn't like running around. I wasn't crazy. She also entrusted me. Like I had a lot of freedom as a teenager.
Mhm.
I had my best friend back in middle school and high school is still my best friend today. And I remember her parents were way more strict, and my mom used to be like, "All right, you can go. I trust you. Just let me know when you're coming back." Right? And I just remember her parents was like, "No." Like they had a lot more restrictions on her. And even now as a parent, I'm like, "Mom, how did you like just let me like just make those choices to do what I wanted to do?" And she was like, "I knew you, and I knew that you needed to be able to have freedom or you would rebel even more." And so I had to trust that
Mm.
all the work and all the talking and all the pouring of into you that I did for all those years before you had more autonomy, that it it would serve you. And so um, yeah, I think I definitely marched to the beat of my own drum, but she helped so much in instilling kind of that foundational mindset and doing the right thing, like that conscious of, okay, like, of course I did like rambunctious things as a child, but I always had a conscious of, okay, Jamila, let's stop, or you keep going, this is not going to be a good situation. So I learned through those ways.
That is funny you mentioned that because with my own kids as a mom, like I try not to instill all the fears that I had growing up. My mom was very overprotective and, she was raised that way. And so, I learned a lot from her being so protective, but then I also saw how it limited me and my mindset as an adult. Like, oh, is this even possible? Like even interviewing Jamila Souffrant and having a podcast. Like, no, my old version would have never thought that this would happen. But I had to step into a new identity, a new mindset to
Right.
be able to receive this right experience and
You
that we're
have to
having
have the
now.
audacity. Like you have to like know that, like, why not me? Like it should
Yeah.
be me too. Like I could do this.
So the mindset is really important. And the fact that your mom nurtured you and poured into you so much at an early age, it served you well. So do you find yourself to be the same with your kids?
Oh my
Or are you
gosh.
like are you different? Because the kids are the way they're raised nowadays is like more inside and the tablets and whatever devices. And so I'm trying to find a perfect balance of the two. Like,
Yeah,
okay, I want them to have their freedom, but I don't also want them to to
to
die out
to
there.
die, get kidnapped. No, like I think it's so hard being a parent because I'm like, I would think my husband, he's a hard worker. He has a really strong work ethic. And and especially in sports, as someone who played sports, and so my sons are playing like basketball now, and then I'm all about education and all the extra stuff that I want them to do. And so I talk to them, and I'm like, is this getting through to you? Just like the mindset stuff, like teaching my kids to be able to figure things out. Don't sit back. If your teacher said something you did not understand, you need to follow up. If you have a question, go ask the librarian, like ask them for the book you want. Don't I'm not going to ask, you ask. So little things like that every day. I'm like, are they getting it? Cuz sometimes, their personalities are all different and they don't do exactly what I would do as a child. But my daughter is like, she does not play. She's like, my mom says she's like me times 10. So I think I just need to like help guide her, but I'm always probably too worried, and I should stop worrying so much because my biggest thing is I want to instill that same mindset
Right.
things are, you could figure it out, be a problem solver, all these, just have a good work ethic, be passionate about something. So I do talk to them and do these things with them in real life. And I hope that it sticks. I mean, at some points I look at them, I'm like, are you listening to anything I'm saying? Well, as you know, you have kids, we have kids around the same age.
Right.
But then I see them in their like habitat with their friends or their adult, I see them talking to each other, or them, one of them correcting another one the way I would have corrected them. Like, come on, think, use your brain to think through this. And I'm like, see, they are listening. Just when they
They are
want to.
listening.
Right.
Just when they want to. And do they know what you do? I mean, obviously, you have a podcast, but like my kids they want to be on the podcast soon, so I
Yeah,
probably
you should
let
let
them
them.
on.
Yeah. You
But
s-
do they know what you do, and the financial expertise that you provide to people, and all
yeah,
the
they're
stuff that you
aware.
do? Yeah.
Because they know about the book and have seen the book in libraries, and was it like of age when I was on Good Morning America and all these like news outlets. So they saw me on TV, they see the book, and so they have a sense. They understand. I talk about money, and their thing is, I thought you were rich. When I say to them, "Oh, we cannot do that," they're like, "I thought you had money. Don't you have a
But
lot of
you were
money?"
on Good Morning America.
And then again, then I try to like break it. Or you're famous. I'm like, there's different levels to fame. I'm not famous. I might be well known to a certain segment of people, but it's not like that. And then even money, I'm like, we have assets, but we don't have we don't have unlimited.
Liquidate it.
Right. We don't have unlimited income. Okay. So no, we cannot just buy this and do all these things that you think. They're like, well, you said you saved or you have this much money. And so those are where the lessons come in about
Oh my
opportunity
God.
costs. And if we spend that here, then we can't spend it here. And so it's interesting.
Wow. So, do you have like a budget for them, or like what do you call it, an allowance? Like,
Allowance.
have you
So
introduced that?
No, not yet, which is, I know some people are like, oh, 'cause my oldest just turned 12. But this summer, we're going to implement more, giving them consistently like money. They get
Right.
money for birthdays and holidays, and I usually let them budget that out. So I'm mandatory make them save a portion of that, and then they have money that they can spend. But I do want to this summer start to give them, their little dollars, weekly
Yeah.
based on some things they need to do.
Oh my God, that's adorable. Yeah, they're gonna challenge you. But then that's an opportunity for you to, kind of
Right, teach them.
do what
Like, why
do yeah, do what
Yeah,
you
they're
do.
like, "Can you get a new car? Why can't we get a new car?" I'm like, "Okay, we can, but then we may not be able to go to the Pokemon conference this year." And they're like, "Oh, like,
Okay, so
why not?" I'm like, so just telling them it's not unlimited resources. The reason why we can do some of this stuff is because we are budgeting and looking at what's important to us as a family. So these are like just the conversations we have with them.
but that's the beauty about being a kid, right? Like
Limit.
there's no limit. There's
Right.
no limit. And so sometimes it's good as adults to tap into that, like
Yes.
abundance. Like, sometimes I do have to get into that Delulu like phase in order to move past, like, from one phase to another. I have to almost be like a little delusional.
No, and even like I try to like just admit when I am wrong, or I could be just have a different opinion than them. Like one thing that they do, especially my daughter, she does this. She's not going anywhere, but she'll put on something like nice, like a nicer outfit. That I'm like, but we're not going anywhere. Why are you wearing that? And then I know that like, wow, like that's what I do. Like instead of wearing the clothes I have, I wait until the proper moment, which never really comes. And I'm like, actually, I'm inspired by you because you just want to wear it because it
You want to
matters
feel
to
good.
you. And so those are
Yeah.
the lessons I try to pick up from them. Like, look at that. Like, stop being like a scarcity mindset that you can't wear a nice thing if no one sees it or if you're not going anywhere. Like, it's okay.
I remember my mom worked in Chanel
Mm.
growing up. So she worked in the distribution warehouse, and it was a fancy warehouse, as you could imagine. They all had lab coats. And so growing up, I had access to all the fine perfume and makeup. And so when she retired, I was like, I have to purchase my own perfume and all that. And I remember having a few Chanel bags. I still do have some. And I remember saying to myself, I'm not going to take this on vacation. This is like $4,000 bag. Like,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, now I'm like, that's what it's for. Like, just enjoy it. Like,
Right.
what good is it on a shelf? Like, but I used to, that scarcity mindset, like somebody's gonna steal it and grab it, and
Mhm.
I'm never gonna see it again, right? And so I never took, and I also didn't want to like stand out either.
Right, right.
As a young, like 20-year-old with a Chanel bag,
Yeah.
like I didn't want to stand out.
I mean, but some of those things, I do feel like some of our reservations are valid, right? Like there are some places where, okay, I wouldn't wear this or do this thing. Like, I don't want you wearing
Right,
that nice outfit to go play outside and get dirt. Like, that to me is
right,
just because you might tear it or waste. It's just wasteful. So I do think there are times where that makes sense, but then we have to
right.
check ourselves. Like, wait a second, is it something that I'm actually holding back from? Is it more of a limiting belief or mindset that's stopping me from doing this?
Right, right. So I'm gonna wear that Chanel bag, okay?
Yes, wear
Even
it.
even to Walmart, I'm gonna do it. Um, so in your book, you talk about the 5 journeyer stages. So anyone who follows your podcast, you call them journeyers. And so, um, can you talk about the 5 stages really quickly, and then talk about where you're currently at and what stage you're at?
Yes. So I just want to go back and define financial independence is the point at which you have enough money invested and saved where you don't have to actively work again. Your assets can pay for your expenses, and that can be depending on your lifestyle and your expenses. That can be a lot of money you need to save and invest, or maybe not as much. But either way, can be $1 million and up depending on your annual expenses. So when I say that, especially to people who are not in this mindset, it's like that is impossible because maybe they're starting at
Mm,
negative a couple 100,000 because of debt and other circumstances.
right,
And so I broke down the journey to reach the ultimate goal of financial independence in 5 stages to make it more just achievable. And so the first
right.
stage is what I call the explorer stage. That is where you are just wanting to become financially stable. You want your income to pay for your expenses. Sometimes, a lot of times, people's expenses exceed their income and they find themselves in the red every month trying to, using their credit card. And so that stage one, the explorer stage, is all about getting to stability and having your income pay for your expenses. Once
Right.
you're able to do that, the next stage that you move to is called the cadet stage. It is where you're working on becoming debt free. That is all your consumer debt, your credit cards, maybe car loans. It is any debt that you want to pay off. I usually don't include mortgages or student loans here just because they can be a lot and
Right.
usually
Long
are
term.
lower interest rates. And so
Right.
it's more about getting rid of the credit cards and debt you want to get rid of. After you become consumer debt free, the next stage that you move into is called the aviator stage. This is the stage in which you are working to reach financial security. So you're focusing on saving and investing. So you don't have debt that you're working to pay off. Now your extra money in your budget can go to maxing out retirement accounts, putting more money into investment accounts, and saving. And then the fourth stage, once you get to a position there where you feel comfortable, is the commander stage. That's when you have work flexibility. So you have enough saving and you have enough assets where you can take a break from working or switch positions, and you have flexibility in what you do for work. It doesn't mean you never work again. You still may need to, but you
Right.
have flexibility. And then the fifth stage is the captain stage. That is where you actually have the ability to never work again because you have enough invested and saved. And just to give you a reference of when I started Journey to Launch,
Hmm.
I was in the cadet stage, but because of, remember we talked about like if you did the right things financially, maybe you can skip ahead faster. So for me,
Yeah.
even though I found out about the fire movement in a quick time, I was able to jump to the aviator stage, the savings and investing stage, because I did have the job, the 6-figure job, where I could said, okay, my next bonus, I'm going to pay off my student loans. And then now as a family with 2 incomes, let's focus on investing and saving. Now, where I currently am, I'm in the commander stage, that stage 4. So I'm not completely financially independent. Now, we could be if we lowered our expenses by a lot, but I'm not willing to do that as a family. It just doesn't work. We live in New York City, we have 3 kids, and we're not super frugal. So
Mhm.
for us, I have the flexibility. I still do need to bring in income at some point in the future if we want to
Right.
maintain the same lifestyle. But
Okay.
my work is very flexible at the moment.
Yeah. And you're working way less now. Like,
Yes. Way less. I mean, my kids are at the age, and it's so hard. Oh my gosh. I get for working parents, especially single parents, and just even if both parents are working, it's so hard when you think about how long they are in school or how much time you have to spend working and the flexibility. Like, I have to go pick up my kids at 2:10.
right.
And I
Right.
don't have to. Like, they could be in after school programs and other things, but I have the flexibility to go do that. And so when I think about like financial independence and the reason why I started this journey, I didn't know that I'd reach here as quickly as I did. And I didn't know I'd be able to have this freedom earlier than reaching the full financial independence goal, but I do. And that's kind of what I want to share with people and encourage people because
Mhm.
I do think a lot of people can at least get to the stage I'm in where they have work
Yeah.
flexibility.
So how long did you give yourself when you first started, and how long did it actually take you?
So I wanted to reach complete financial independence. And again, everyone's version is going to look different depending on your circumstances, but it did include when I started Journey to Launch. I think I had a blog post at 33 years old, and I said in 7 years when I turn 40, I want to
Mhm.
be completely financially independent and be able to quit my job. But with that, my husband would still be working. For him, that's just what he's going to do. He's like, "What am I
Yeah.
going to stay home and do? I want to work." I'm like, "Okay," and so that kind of worked in our goals and helped a lot, right? Because then you're thinking about health insurance. We could still be on his health insurance. We still have his income, which
Mhm.
doesn't cover all our expenses, but covers a good amount. And so I thought 7 years is what it would take. And then I would say 2 years into that, which is when we were saving aggressively, I was like, oh
Mhm.
no, I can't do this for another 5 years. I can't wait till 40. I can't commute 2 hours one way. And this time I was expanding my family. I was like, this needs to happen way sooner than that. And that's when I decided I
Mhm.
would quit my job when I was pregnant with my third child to do this. So it happened the version where I was able to have more freedom happened, I would say 3 years in versus the full 7, but it was because did all that work up front and saved and invested and created that security for myself that I was able to take that leap into full-time entrepreneurship.
Wow, that's amazing. And what does your husband think about all this now? Like the process? Like he's like, "You did it?"
Yeah, I think he is a very just a relaxed, go along with the flow kind of guy, honestly, and
Okay.
he's always trusted and let me lead the way in terms of like finances, and which is
Mm.
helpful. So I don't have like someone pushing back, like, no, like let's just do this. I think we trust each other. Where he's just like, if Jamila is saying this, I know this is her thing. It's probably what we should be doing. So I think now we're at that point where we're, figuring out what are some of the things we want to do, right? Like we're now in our 40s, early 40s,
Yeah.
and our kids they're still pretty young, but like what are some of our goals that we want to like have like even physically and in our life and what does that cost us? And so does that mean working more or picking up doing other things or not, right? And I think we're at that point where we're trying to figure that out, but I think we are very comfortable, and I think he's happy to have me as a wife to have helped him discover this because we do have
He's
a
like,
lot of stability.
"Yes."
Yeah. If I do say so myself.
I trusted her and it worked. I mean, it's just amazing to hear because, you know, I mean, I just recently, divorced. And so that
Mm.
was like a life change, right? And so that set me back, you know, in my financial journey, right? And so people go through things and life does life. And then you have to pivot again, right? And so it's beautiful to hear like when two people actually make a plan, stick to it, stay consistent, hold each other accountable and just make it happen, right? Like it's so nice and comforting to hear that because it is possible like for two
Yeah.
people to actually do that. And it takes that commitment and consistency to say, you know what, I'm gonna do it no matter what, whatever curveball is thrown at us, we're going to figure it out. And, hey, you guys could even probably do some marriage counseling.
No. Well, listen, I
You
think
never
too.
know. You never
No,
know.
it's nice that you shared that about kind of your transition because I think that is not. I don't think that's above anyone. I think that can happen to anyone,
Right.
and our plan has shifted over the years and it can shift in the future too, which is why I just really believe in us being our own asset. Like, I know we talk a lot in terms of personal finance about investing in retirement accounts and outside things, which are important. But I think we, as ourselves, are our biggest asset. And so, how do you, no matter what is thrown at you, how are you able to bounce back, even if it might take some time? How can
Hmm.
you rely on yourself? Like, it's great when you can rely on someone else, but how can you always know that you have what you need inside of you to be okay?
Right.
And so, um, yeah, I think that because I've had a couple of interviews too, even recently with I don't know if you heard Erica Barnes. She was on. I forgot the episode, but she came on when she was married earlier in the podcast,
Hmm.
and talked about like be reaching a version of financial independence. And she recently came on again, and she had gotten divorced and remarried
Mm.
again, and talked about like how that impacted her journey. And so I just think that the journey will shift. Like, you might create a plan and you'll more than likely have to adjust because life happens. And it's like,
Yeah,
who are
that's
you?
what it
Yeah,
is.
to
I was like,
adjust.
oh, I wanted to do all these things the right way.
Yeah.
And then it's like, now I'm just like, you know what?
You got to pivot and you got to figure it out and you will figure it out.
But there's always a reason behind it, so many lessons. And so I think for me, the point is not to like reject it or go into victimhood and say, like, why did this happen to me? This sucks. It's about embracing like what the experience came to do and transform and teach you.
Right.
So if you're able to kind of like dance with it and just be like, okay, I don't like it, but I'll trust the process, right? And
Right.
so that's kind of like where I'm at. So for people like that want to start their financial journey, are tired of being in debt and not enjoying their life to the fullest and always working, like what would
Yeah.
you recommend? What is your
So
advice?
I recommend getting the book, Your Journey to Financial Freedom, because it does walk you through step by step. But even without it, assessing where you currently are is important. So many people don't understand their financial picture. So, what are your expenses, your true expenses? What is your true income? Just sitting down and getting that together, like writing out or using a Google sheet to say, this is how much I brought in last month, this is how much we spent. Is the
Right,
first step. How much do you owe? Do you know that number? How much do you own? So what are your assets, right? Debt to assets. Those four:
right,
income, expenses, debt, liabilities, and assets. Knowing those numbers gives you then a picture of what needs to happen next. Because if you see that I'm spending more than I'm bringing in, or I have no room to save, pay down extra debt, but other than the minimum payments, that's when you have to make an adjustment to your expenses. So that could be
right,
cutting back, cutting out, and or income. Can you increase your income, do more shifts, do an extra job, start something on the side, because that's what's going to help drive like what happens.
right, right. And where can people find you and learn more about you?
So if you like listening to things, check out the podcast. Journey to Launch is the podcast. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. And then the book is Your Journey to Financial Freedom. So go to journeytolaunch.com for the podcast and all things Journey to Launch, and then your journey to financial freedom.com for the book. And you can buy it anywhere, Amazon, your local book retailer. Pick it up at the library. And then I'm on Instagram at Journey to Launch and at Jamila Souffrant.
Okay. And do you do any personal or group coaching? Is
So
that on the
yeah.
horizon?
Well, I have a couple of program. One of the things that I decided to release to the public, it was usually within a coaching program or another offering, was I'm thinking of another name for it, the FI Freedom Plan. planner,
Oh,
but it was
the fire cow?
but
Or
yeah, the
no?
fire calc
Oh,
is what it was called, but I feel like it doesn't really represent what it is because it's something that like I created. This is what back then to really plot out and map out how to reach financial independence and by year plugging in the goals and what to do. And so that is an offering. It's self-paced. It's a Google sheet you download with a tutorial. Journeytolaunch.com/firecalc before we were going to change the name, but that's where
no.
you can go now. And then when it comes to group coaching, I do run and have run group coaching programs. I don't do it like year round. And then I have not done one on one in a while, but I might open up a few spots for people. So the best way to like understand or know when I talk about that is joining my email list by going to
Okay.
journeytolaunch.com and or hitting me up if you're interested and I share more details with you.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you, Jamila. It's been a pleasure. And I am so excited for you. And I know that you're going to do amazing things and you're going to continue to grow and thrive. And who knows where, well, your journey will take you right now that you're in this stage of life. And so I'm super proud of you. And thank you for coming on. It really just, thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for all the kind words. And honestly, I remember meeting you at my book launch. I think when I'd looked for the you sent the picture, so that's why I also
Yeah,
remembered
yeah.
you. Yeah. So, no, I appreciate you because I think especially I've been doing it now almost 10 years. The podcast will be 10 years in 27, but Journey to
Right.
Launch is 10 years old. And I think definitely in the beginning, I don't know how many new people have found me. Like, I don't know if I'm doing such a good
Oh,
job of having new people find me. Maybe they're not as vocal, I would say, as like my older journeyers, where
yeah.
I feel I'm just like, oh, this is why I do this, right? Like this, I remember this. I remember the feeling of being where you were listening to podcasts and being inspired to do something. And then I really
Yeah.
do appreciate the feedback that Journey to Launch and my work has helped you so much because it does encourage me to keep going. Cause sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I could wrap this up right now.
I'm done. I already reached, commander or whatever,
Yeah. So no, I
captain.
appreciate you. So thank you for letting me know all that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And once again, thank you guys for joining and tuning in. If you are enjoying this show, this episode, and you would like to learn more about my guests, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Empire State of Mind. And also, you can email me, reach out, and like, share, and subscribe so that we could get more listeners like yourself. Until next time, thank you for tuning in and see you soon. Bye.